Good evening. Welcome to Leicester Fan TV. Yeah, there's just 2 more sleeps until Christmas, but was yesterday the nightmare before Christmas? What a shame it all went wrong for us. We've started early tonight because we've got Steve from Redmen TV coming on. How are we going to speak to Liverpool fans about the trip on Boxing Day there? What are we going to ask him? What do you want to talk about from yesterday's game? There's so much to unpick from that. It was a shambles. What on earth was going on in the players, in the stands, the whole lot of it. So join me for the next 45 minutes and an extended fan zone show. What do you want to talk about tonight?
The Leicester City machine is on the march again.
Leicester Fan TV presents a variety of content like fan discussions, match analysis, and engaging with Leicester fans worldwide. We want your views live, thanks to our sponsors, Everard's, Pucker Pies, Hologram, Take Me, Newbie & Co, and the Fox's Arms.
Want to watch more content like this? Hit the like button. Give us your views. Hit subscribe to Leicester Fan TV and make sure to follow Leicester Fan TV on all socials.
Yes, good evening and welcome to the Monday Night Fan Zone show. We're going a little longer tonight, like I say, because there's yesterday's match to talk about. And we've got Steve from the Redmen TV at Liverpool, one of the biggest Liverpool fanzine shows, coming on at about 7:30. So first of all, let's get your views in. Let's get your comments in. What do you want to talk about from yesterday's game? There is so much to talk about. Andy says we need new fullbacks and another striker ASAP. Matty, did you get to the game yesterday or not? Were you still out in France? Good evening to you. Hope you're well. Derek, good evening. Hope you're well. Get your views in. Paul is watching in Sheffield. Paul, did you go to the game yesterday or did you manage to catch some of it, maybe on Match of the Day or whatever? What did you think to Leicester's performance? Ivan, what do we do? Remember, everyone, Rudkin is the idiot who sanctioned the Ward deal for £12 million. I mean, Terence goes on to say, what a shame Danny Ward started. We were in the car on the way to the match and we were trying to second guess who Rude was going to put in. Obviously, we thought Hermansen was not going to be the starter. And we were all like, surely it's going to be Stolovic if he was Jacob, if he was fit. If not, to be fair, I thought Iverson was still out on loan, but Iverson was an option. The thing is, I said in the car, Rude will pick Danny Ward because he'll look on paper. And he's obviously seen some training with Danny Ward. Danny Ward must train well. I don't know. But if he looks on paper, he'll go, this guy's a Welsh international. He's going to be a safe pair of hands. But we all know, the thing is, you and me, we've watched Danny Ward. We know Danny Ward was a big part of the team that got relegated from the Premier League just, 18 months ago. It was there to be happening, wasn't it? Scooby says 35 years of ups and downs, but yesterday we looked really poor. Easy pay. Players definitely should not be in the Premier League at all. Upstairs needs a rocket in them. Scooby, I have to agree with lots of what you're saying. Listen, I've watched them for a little bit longer than you, but I left yesterday and I hate to admit it. I did a video as we walked out. I left on the 70th minute. I was with Sam and he said, before half time, he said, let's just go. And I was like, no, we've got to stay. But I'm not being funny. We stayed. We watched more. It was just, I've never left on the 70th minute before. But there was nothing on the pitch really worth staying for. And you can call me a bad supporter. I'm calling myself a bad supporter for going, to be fair. I'm not happy that I did that. But I'm not going to, I wasn't booing Danny Ward. Were you? Let me know. It's fair enough if you were. And to be fair, I did jeer him once when he did something that was just because he was just flapping, and even his passing. Andy says Danny Ward is not good enough for the Premier League. Got to start Iverson if Stolovic is not fit. Do you agree with what Andy's saying there? Terence says the second goal, he never tried keeping it out. Danny Ward, that was abysmal goalkeeping for the second goal. But what was James Justin doing, guys? I've never seen a defender do that before. He literally, the ball was coming and clearly going into the penalty box, and he moved his body. He moved to let it go by him. But I don't understand what his thought process was, because if James Justin moves out the way, he's I don't know, Danny Ward's not behind him. Did he think IU was there? I don't know. Gary says, it seems that we're going backwards, Phil. We've 7 players of a Premier League standard. I'd like to know who you think those are, Gary, for a start. The rest are crap. If Enzo won't play Ward, that's telling you something in there. Scott then says Iverson would have at least attempted more saves, in my opinion, in there. Ed says Matt Gamble thinks Danny Ward is top quality. I want you to be honest, because before the game we said it yesterday. I think there's like 1% of fans would have said put Danny Ward in goal. Now I've put the link out there. I'm going to share it again. So if anybody wants to come on screen, we have got Steve from Redmen TV joining us very shortly at 7:30. Click here. I'm just writing it. Matty has clicked, and I'm going to add Matty in. Matty Bond, welcome to the show, Matty. How are you?
Hi there, Phil. How are you?
I'm good, Matty. I'm absolutely disappointed in my actions yesterday by leaving on the 70th minute. I've never done that before. I've occasionally sneaked off 5 minutes early if I've got something to do, but it was a combination yesterday, Matty, of it was Christmas. I've got family stuff I could and should be doing. I'd had to nick out of something Christmassy to go and watch the football and let family people down a bit. But 70th minute, I was just like, they don't give a flying toss, Matty. What was your take?
Yeah, I got there. I had 2.5 hours to get to the stadium yesterday, Phil. Got stuck in the bloody traffic round Foss Park, and then eventually got to the stadium. And from where do we start? Honestly, from kickoff, a complete debacle. Well, before that, in actual fact, from the team news, complete debacle. Where the hell do we start at this football club at the moment, Phil? I mean, we can't blame the manager because it's not the manager. It clearly isn't the manager. I just don't know. I mean, you've probably seen some of my comments on the chat. I'm just completely done with it at the moment. It's.
I mean, you did 2.5 hours to get there, 2.5 hours to get home, Matty. I know because we have little chats as well. But you travel all around, not just the UK, but all around Europe for your job. You have to put in multiple long hours. Yeah. To say some of those players phoned in a performance yesterday, I don't think I could expect them to be that bad unless they were trying to be that bad. And I'm not accusing them of that. I don't know what to say about James Justin's up for the second goal. He's not that bad, is he? What was he doing?
I don't know. I mean, I'm even laughing to myself now, Phil. I mean, he was woeful. I mean, let's not even start on Danny Ward because that's a completely different conversation. But I mean, there wasn't a single player on that pitch that you could give even a 3 out of 10 for yesterday. The only person was Jamie Vardy, who looked like he was trying. I mean, but clueless. The whole thing was. Wolverhampton Wanderers weren't even very good.
No, they were rubbish. They passed the ball out several times. They couldn't control it. Somebody behind me said this is like watching a poor championship game, and they were about right. It wasn't good on either side.
So where do we go from here? Is the thing. I don't know. I don't even know why I clicked on the link, Phil, because I haven't got a bloody clue, mate.
Well, Matty, let's start. Did you see the game out yesterday? Did you stay till pretty?
Yeah, I did. I was there. I stayed. Got my seat. I was there till 90 minutes. I said I don't know whether it was on your chat, but I said probably the only reason I stayed for 90 minutes was because I thought I'd beat the rush by staying.
Yeah.
But yeah, I stayed. But I can honestly say, even when we got relegated, it was the worst performance and it was the worst atmosphere. I mean, that was awful yesterday, Phil, wasn't it? I mean, the atmosphere in that ground and the toxicity was just beyond, wasn't it?
But Matty, again, I know you've just said, and I'm not laying into Rude tonight. He has only been here 3.5, 4 weeks or something. But you must have felt before you went in, as soon as you saw the team sheet, Danny Ward, as soon as people went in the ground, people were like, this is not the keeper who's going to help. And then you're watching the game just waiting for a mistake, aren't you? Why was Danny Ward picked? Why was Branity on the bench? Why was Winks on the bench?
Totally agree with Phil. Just a couple of points to make. I thought, like many people thought, it was probably the right time Cooper left, and I did think that, and majority of fans thought that. I also thought it was probably a bit of a Hollywood signing, which a lot of people maybe agree or disagree. But I also thought the third thing was the squad we have ain't very bloody good. Is the third thing, and I think it was probably a combination of things at the moment, which are just turning into an absolute debacle. And we're heading into a period of games now where we're unlikely to get much out of.
Terence says we'll be at Liverpool on Boxing Day, and it could be double figures.
Well, possibly could, possibly couldn't. It is what it is. We didn't think we'd get much out of Liverpool anyway, did we? But we thought we'd probably get something out of last Sunday. We'll see. But we're heading into a period now which is going to be very difficult, Phil, isn't it?
Yeah. Listen, Matty, I'm going to let you go, but thanks a lot for clicking on. I know it was a tough watch, but thanks a lot.
Cheers, mate.
Cheers, mate. I'm going to let Matty go. Thanks for him. I've got Dan and Ryan have clicked in. Let's add both of them in. Dan, good evening to you. How are you?
Hi, mate. How are you doing? You okay?
Yes, good. Dan, were you at the match yesterday?
I'm the Liverpool fan here.
Dan, sorry, mate. I thought it was Steve from Redmen.
No, so it's me. It's Dan. How are you? Okay.
No, I can't accuse you of being a Leicester fan at the moment. Well,
no.
Listen, thanks. I thought it was going to be Steve from Redmen coming in, but Dan, it's lovely to have you on here. We've been talking with Leicester fans about our performance yesterday, which was, I hope to goodness you didn't watch it because I don't want to give you too much hope. I assume you were watching Liverpool at Spurs yesterday.
Yes, I was, mate. Yeah, I was watching that, of course. And yeah, listen, it is what it is ultimately for Leicester's form right now. It felt like you had, a new manager bounce somewhat a few weeks back in terms of performances, a couple of better looking displays from your point of view, but then obviously the weekend's capitulation at Wolves is not something you would have hoped for or anticipated. So yeah, in terms of where both sides are at, I know which side of we sat on ultimately, but yeah, I did not watch your game. I have seen the highlights earlier on today. I was very much fixed on ours.
Yeah, I think the word highlights from a Leicester's point of view is pushing it, to be fair. I'm going to be honest with you, Dan. I've never done this. I've watched Leicester. As you can probably tell, I'm an old git. And I've watched Leicester for like 45 years, can you believe a lot, since I was a 5-year-old kid. Yesterday was the first time, and I'm embarrassed to say it, but I've admitted it, first time I've ever left early, and I left on the 70th minute. It was that bad. You're a Liverpool fan. I assume you've never had it as bad as we might feel like that, where you go, I'm done with it today.
No, it's all perspective, I guess, isn't it, really? In my lifetime, I haven't seen Liverpool be successful throughout it. I was born in 91, so we've had some barren years in amongst that, certainly when it comes domestically, certainly when it comes to the Premier League title. But in terms of actually being angry enough to just walk out the ground, we've had some protests down the years against ticket price rises and that sort of stuff, whereby we have had sort of like sit out and we haven't actually entered the ground until certain minutes. But I've never been as dismayed enough at the team's performance to warrant actually leaving the ground. And there was one game, final game of the season, where we got absolutely turned over by Stoke, 6-1 it was actually in the end, and that was about as close as I got, really. But that was at the end of tenure when it comes to manager-wise, and we had the Roy Hodgson era, the Brendan Rodgers era ended like that. So yeah, it's been grim, but it's never quite been as bad as that, I don't think.
And Dan, it felt like under obviously Jurgen Klopp, you probably had like the best, 8, 9, 10 years of Liverpool's recent history. Again, I am old enough to remember that the hey day. So obviously great respect for back then. But it feels like this year's, I don't know, it's gone up a level for you, maybe. It's gone up a notch. How are the Liverpool fans feeling? Is it, from us looking outside in, are we getting the wrong perspective of it? But it looks like, this is even better than under Klopp.
Yeah, it's hard to argue that point, isn't it, ultimately? And I adored Jurgen Klopp for various reasons, not just who he was as a football manager, but what he was as a person and what he sort of stood for in and around the city. We were fortunate enough to interview him before we left, and he was a remarkable human being. But in terms of football and in terms of, as you said there, from outside looking in, it's easy to see why everyone would just automatically assume that we're better now. And ultimately, again, it's hard to argue that fact because sat top of the Premier League, sitting quite pretty at the top of the Premier League, really. Sat top of the Champions League, massive group that is now, into the semi-finals of Carabao Cup. Like, it all seems to be seamless. And it wasn't supposed to be this way either, because when somebody as important as Jurgen Klopp and as talismanic as Jurgen Klopp leaves the football club, there's supposed to be a transition. There's supposed to be a drop-off and a change, but that hasn't happened. And there wasn't really any summer signings of note either. So, yeah, it's been a remarkable start from Arne Slot. I've been really, really impressed with how he's gone about the football side of it, but how he's gone about the media and how he's handled himself. He comes across really, really well. So, yeah, it's been brilliant. But I think it's important to stress that nothing's won yet, first and foremost, but also he did walk into a very good situation. Like, Jurgen Klopp left in a very healthy place, and he's been at pains to stress that as well himself. So there was just, and Jurgen Klopp referenced this back end of last season, if the next guy, not knowing who it was at the time, if the next guy can just fix the defence a little bit, he'll be on to a winner. And that's kind of what he's done, to be honest.
Again, I'm going back to the 70s and the 80s of watching Liverpool, that, like, Shankly passed it to Paisley and Paisley passed it on. There was, like, they did look after the club, and then it was like lovingly passed on to the next person. And it feels like maybe Jurgen's done that, maybe wrapped it up and gone, I've brought this back to life, this great monster that is Liverpool. And I'm now, I've handed it over in a great position, unlike what's going on down at Old Trafford and other places where it's just like, oh, I can't deal with this. It feels like maybe Jurgen did leave it in a great place.
Yeah, we left it in the best possible place, I think it's fair to say, when it comes to personnel, when it came to sort of the back room and the hierarchy and the infrastructure, all that sort of stuff. Like, he knew he was leaving us in a position of power and in a position whereby we could springboard on. But I think more than that, obviously the Liverpool-centric side of things was looking good. The academy's prospering, like, it's really, really positive. But what he did, and I don't think we really realised it at the time, because the Arne Slot appointment came from a bit left field. Final boss. AZ Alkmaar, like, successful record in the Eredivisie, but Dutch managers from the Eredivisie, you might find this out in the fullness of time, don't have the greatest track record in the Premier League. So it maybe was slightly underwhelming. We trusted it, but it was a bit underwhelming. And then on the final day of the season, Jurgen Klopp, in all his genius, people may disagree, decides to not make the farewell about him. He swings it right back around and starts singing this chant for Arne Slot inside Anfield. And straight away, because he's bought into the next guy, the entire fan base buys into the next guy. It's a stroke of genius, in my opinion.
It's clever.
And it's worked.
It is clever. And again, like I say, it reminds me back to how Liverpool used to do it, the boot room, and bring these players through. Sammy Lee, all these people who weren't necessarily the managers, but were like a big part of what was the setup at Liverpool. A couple of questions from Leicester fans who are watching live. Forgive me for this one. You may not even remember who Danny Ward is, but we paid 12 million quid to you guys for him. He had a stinker yesterday. Apart from me leaving on 70 minutes, I've never seen a stadium, and I'm embarrassed to say it, jeering Danny Ward and booing his name, because he was particularly bad. It was a poor thing all over. He sat on your bench for a long time. I assume you've got very, very few memories of Danny Ward.
I remember him playing once or twice, truth be told. I actually know his other half quite well, to be honest. So I'm well aware of Danny. Listen, there was a moment in time, actually, where he was sort of billed as Liverpool's future number one, and then it never really materialised when it signed people. Obviously, Alisson Becker followed into the club, and the rest is history, really, when it comes to Liverpool's goalkeeper department. But there were certain stages of his time at Liverpool whereby it looked like he might be the next best thing. And we've spoken to John Achterberg about him, who's Liverpool's goalkeeper coach for a prolonged period whilst Danny was at the club, and he actually spoke really highly of him. And obviously he went to Huddersfield on loan and helped them get promoted. So his sort of CV up until a point is actually quite impressive, for want of a better phrase. And then it feels as though he's gone to Leicester, sat behind or played understudy to Kasper Schmeichel forever. And then when Kasper Schmeichel moves on, you think, okay, is Danny Ward now the guy? and then another goalkeeper comes in and he isn't. So I get where the criticism comes from, obviously. I get why people will be annoyed by the 12 million price tag, because for a backup goalkeeper, that is quite a decent chunk of money. And Michael Edwards probably oversaw that transfer for Liverpool. So he's renowned for getting the most money out of players that maybe aren't quite worth it. So don't feel too bad. But for Danny Ward in particular, I struggle to see from sort of a sporting perspective and a competitive perspective where his head's at. I know he's going to be the best he can possibly be in training and be the ultimate professional and all that sort of stuff. But I know you've got to be ready. We've got Kevin Kelleher as our backup goalkeeper, who's one of the best around, in my opinion. But yeah, it's difficult for Danny, I guess, because he comes into the side having barely played. Like, it felt like for a long time, the only football he got was for Wales. You know what I mean?
That's right.
It's hard. He must be there. He must have been there for years now. He must be getting on for a decade, it feels like, anyway. And he's barely played. So I do have some sympathy. However, having said that, ultimately, from your guy's perspective, he just needs to play better when he's in goal, I guess.
Yeah, Ivan says here we're going to have to park the bus at Anfield and try to keep the goals under 5. I think Ivan speaks for a lot of Leicester fans, if I'm being honest with you, Dan, is that we are just fearful that it could get silly numbers. You've been so good going forward this season. You have let a few goals in here and there, but just, Mo Salah, again, I mean, I don't know if they've sorted his contract out yet for the end of the year, but I think he's the first Premier League player to score 10 goals, have 10 assists this side of Christmas. Again, I know I've got some Liverpool mates who I go down the pub with who find Mo Salah quite frustrating. And I'm like, what are you on about? He's amazing. But they say, no, he is frustrating because he can have off days where he's just not involved and he can't control a turnip. And then they say, but then you see this brilliance. He seems brilliant at the moment.
Oh, yeah, he's phenomenal. For my money, best player in the Premier League right now, and possibly sort of go beyond that, if I'm being really, really honest. He is sensational. And where the frustration creeps in, I understand it, I do, because I've been frustrated with Mo Salah in certain games before now. But what tends to happen, and I commentated on one of our games recently, and it was against Fulham, and he was really poor. He was out of the game. He was getting a bit frustrated. Never really happened for him, it felt like, on that day. And I literally, as I was saying it, had to say out loud, he'll make me eat my words. And then he goes on to provide an assist that essentially gets us back in the game. Because that's what he does. Even in those off days, he'll have a moment. Because that's what he's become a little bit more now. He's evolved this game in such a way whereby he might not be at it for 70, 80, 90 minutes. And he might not be tormenting defenders and turning them inside out all the time. But give him enough space to operate or give him enough time on the ball and he will punish teams time and time again. And the assist thing, like you'll remember, obviously, when he arrived at the football club, he was just lightning quick, ran away from everyone, couldn't be stopped, scored loads of goals. The assist part of his game was quite new, really. He always chipped in, but now to be on the numbers he's on already before Christmas, as you said, it's frightening. Honestly, what he can do in terms of match-defining moments right now, I've not really witnessed anything like it at Liverpool. And obviously Gerrard, Luis Suarez, Fernando Torres for a bit, been blessed down the years, I think it's fair to say. But honestly, Mohamed Salah right now is on another level to all of them. He's just sensational.
There was that many goals in your game yesterday at Spurs from both teams, but there was Salah had an assist. I think it was the second or third Liverpool goal. But it's like he's got a nice vision. He sort of knows where other players are to get them involved without. He's one of those players that doesn't almost look like he's having to look, but he has. He's just ahead of the game to me.
Yeah, there was a ball back inside to Dom's line. It was funny because it felt like the easy option would have been to go out wide. I think it was Diaz and Cody Gakpo maybe, but there was defenders that side, so he knew to come back inside with just completely wrong foot those defenders, and Szoboszlai went through to score. And you're right, but I do think that is a new side, a new facet to his game. And as I say, down the years, we've been lucky enough to watch him for a long time. He's always chipped in with assists. He's always had moments of magic that don't always result in a goal for Mo Salah, but now it feels like almost he's as happy and as hungry to assist other people as he is to score goals himself. And that is a very, very dangerous version of Mo Salah, because a lot of the frustration crept in when maybe he's a bit greedy, like all forwards are, but maybe he was a little bit selfish sometimes. But he's even got that out of his game now. He doesn't run around as much. He doesn't beat people as much. But my word, give him time, give him space to operate, and he'll just hurt you.
Is he signed that new contract? And if not, what's going on?
is a mess, quite frankly.
Yeah, is it Liverpool or is it him? Or is it both?
Oh, I think it's Liverpool, if I'm being honest. He's come out publicly recently and said that he wants to stay. Virgil van Dijk's done the same. Liverpool have got themselves, and I've got some sympathy for Liverpool in this, because there's been sort of a lot of flux and a lot of movement behind the scenes when it comes to sporting directors. We had 8 or 9 months worth of Jörg Schmadtke as sporting director last year, and he wasn't really in charge of doing this. Michael Edwards left, Julian Ward left. They've since come back. Obviously, the big one, you'd have to say. So let's just live in a world whereby Liverpool wanted to sit down with Salah, Trent and Virgil, rewind 18 months, for argument's sake, probably less than that, to be honest. And then all of a sudden they get wind that Jurgen Klopp's leaving the football club. So they would be well within their rights to go, hang on. Like, especially Trent, because all Trent's known is Jurgen Klopp. Like, he's been his entire football life at a senior level.
Yeah.
So they'd all sit back and go, let's just see what happens next. Who's the next guy? What does that look like? Does he like me? Do I like him? Are we going to be competitive? Now, as we sit right here, all of those questions have been answered. So there should be conversations, and there should hopefully positive conversations, because all 3 of them, like, I've known Liverpool fans who've said, oh, let Trent go. It's just a non-starter for me. Like, they all have to stay, in my opinion.
Dan, you I think, what is it now? 5 points clear, 4 points clear, but you've got a game in hand. 50-50. I think it's 50% of teams are top at Christmas Day go on to win the Premier League. So obviously, I mean, it's still 50% don't, but you are in a great position. Obviously, you can't relax now. Can you write Man City out of this? I know there's Chelsea and other teams, but can you write Man City out, or is there a bit in the back of your mind going, do you know what they have come back from stuff before against you lot, or do you think no, actually they're out of it this year?
I don't know if they come back from this. They look, not just the points tally. I actually think the points tally is surmountable for them. I think they have got the track record, they've got the manager, they've got the players, ultimately, in terms of what they've done historically. I think they can overhaul this points tally with the games that are left and all that sort of stuff. That's not my major thing. My rationale for writing them off is just how they look, how they're playing football right now. Like, and nobody, that fear factor that surrounds them has gone a little bit as well. And listen, you won't like me saying this because I imagine there's some rivalry there, but Aston Villa have a decent side. And they might give Man City a good game on the best of days, but everyone plays City now and thinks, yeah, let's have a go. And that's the worst possible thing, because they've ran out of legs. So, yeah, I think they are a bit broken beyond repair this season. And I imagine they'll go into the window in January and try and mend a little bit, try and salvage something from the season. Because if we're being brutally honest, their form right now is like bottom 4 form, not top 4 form. So top 4 feels a stretch as it stands. So in terms of the title, I don't see it.
I mean, we play them next Sunday, I'm sorry to say, Dan. So Leicester, I think they may be back in for some points there. We've got a couple. I will let you go very shortly. I've got a couple of ones for you here. Gary says, we just fear for Leicester on Boxing Day. Jordan says, can we play your under-12s on Boxing Day, if that's all right? You might laugh, Dan, but we're like absolutely worried to death about Boxing Day. And again, you can be honest, there's a lot of Leicester fans watching, but would he rest some players against us, or do you think no, you've just got to put your pedal to the metal sort of stuff?
Yeah, there's both schools of thought, and I think they're both valid ones, to be honest. I think rest might be too strong a word. I think it'd be rotation, but I think it'll be like for like rotation, because rest is definitely something that happens. But if I said rest, that would imply that like Mo Salah, Virgil van Dijk won't play. That won't be true. I think like Tsimikas will come in for Robertson, for example. Darwin Núñez or Diogo Jota will come in for Diaz, who started as the 9, and then maybe like a Curtis Jones for Szoboszlai. I don't think you'll see anything sort of wholesale, because as much as the games come thick and fast this time of year, as we know, we play West Ham on Sunday, quite a quick turnaround, really, like you guys. We've then got a good break before our next game, so I think it'll be just minor rotation, minor tweaks. I don't think it'll be under 12s, I'll be honest. We haven't seen much of them this season, so I can't do anything.
Pretty good anyway.
A couple of them all right, yeah.
They'll be the next generation in 5-6 years' time. Dan, listen, I think I speak. Thanks so much for joining us tonight and give us some of your views. I think I speak for many Leicester fans. Of course, as we all know, we won the Premier League that glory year, and I know you guys won it. You've only won it once, I believe, if I'm statistically right, since it's been the Premier League, and that was in COVID. And I know obviously most of the fans, you didn't get to see most of the game. So I guess it must be it's something really for you guys to look forward to. And I know a lot of fans will, want you to enjoy actually being more part of it if it does happen for you guys.
Yeah, I'd be lying if I said it wasn't a massive thing in the back of my mind, because as good as it was to get that monkey off our back and actually win the Premier League and stop some of our rivals saying you've never won the Premier League, despite having an absolute plethora of major trophies sat in a trophy cabinet somewhere in Liverpool. But yeah, it's a thing. And from a personal point of view, and I think I speak for a lot of the Liverpool fan base, when we all say we'd love absolutely nothing more than to win it with a full Anfield or a full stadium, or just being allowed to live a normal life, ultimately, because anything that did happen in and around that felt very hollow. And it's a sad sort of thing to say, ultimately, because it shouldn't have been like that. And a lot of people misremember how brilliant Liverpool were prior to football stopping, really, and then Project Restart, which wasn't great. We all know that. I'd be lying again if I said it was. It wasn't. The next season that followed wasn't great either. Football without fans inside stadiums is worthless, in my opinion. I'm very, very aware of that. But yeah, prior to that happening, Liverpool were scintillating. Didn't lose a game, just phenomenal, and had it wrapped up pretty much by this time in the year. We played you guys, didn't we, not long after this. It was Boxing Day again. And we were just unstoppable, literally unstoppable. So, yeah, I want to win it more than anything for obvious reasons. But probably top of that list of reasons is because we'll win it properly and we'll actually be there for it.
I agree. And Dan, I was on the hallowed turf at Anfield just a few months ago. I should probably play for Leicester because I might be better than some of our players. But it was there to watch the beautiful Taylor Swift, I'm afraid, not to play football. So there we go. Anyway, Dan, thanks so much. Just give us a shout out where people can watch your content.
Yeah, Redmen TV. We've got Oppo Preview going out with you guys as well next couple of days. That'll be out on YouTube too. Redmen TV across socials, Redmen TV across YouTube. You Google that, you'll find us.
They certainly will. Dan, thanks so much for joining us. It's been great having you on.
Pleasure. Take care.
See you soon. Cheers, Dan.
See you later, everybody. Bye.
So that was Dan from Redmen TV. It was great to get Dan on. I think I speak for most Leicester fans that it's going to be one. I mean, what do you think could happen at Liverpool? I'm struggling to see. I mean, listen, we all know it's Leicester City. It could be, it maybe a draw could come out of nowhere. You just never know. But I think anything under 4-0 is probably a decent result, isn't it? So let us know in your comments. I know Ryan's been waiting very, very patiently. Ryan, I'm going to add you in now. Thanks again. Ryan, thanks for clicking on. That was Dan, obviously, from Redmen TV. So I let him have his say about the match. But Ryan, do you want to go back to yesterday's game, or do you want to talk about the game at Liverpool?
I'd like to talk about both topics, if that's okay. But,
you go for it.
About the game yesterday, I've got to say, I think that was the atmosphere in the ground throughout I thought was a bit hostile, particularly as the goals were flying in. I mean, the crowd just turned completely really on the players, and that's the first time really I've ever seen that before, and I felt a little bit uncomfortable with it.
I think, Ryan, the season 2 years ago when we got relegated from the Premier League, there was a lot of frustration within the Leicester fans. But I think we knew we were watching players who actually, the frustration then was that we were watching players who we knew were better than the performance they were putting in. But yesterday, I've got to be honest, I walked away from it thinking, Ryan, not a lot different to what I thought all season, but they're not very good. The players are. And I'm not sure how bothered they looked yesterday. That was the biggest worry.
I think for me, it's down to the lack. I don't think it's down to the lack of effort. I just think their confidence at the minute is at rock bottom, especially when we concede the opening goal. The confidence, you can clearly see, just goes completely. I think out of the 17 games I think we played this season now, we've conceded first in 13 of them. And I'll also pick on another amazing stat. You wouldn't believe this. The last 40 Premier League games, we've only kept 2 clean sheets, mate.
Is that right? That's obviously this season and the season before when we went down.
Yeah, correct.
Yeah,
that is really concerning. What does that say? I mean, we're giving ourselves no chance at all, are we?
What do you think yesterday, Ryan, was the biggest issue within the team? Obviously, Danny Ward's been picked out, but I have to look at the players who are in front of him. The defence just didn't get stuck in. I can't fathom out what James Justin was doing for their second goal.
My God. I had my head in my hands completely when I saw that error. I just couldn't believe it. What on earth was he doing?
It wasn't an error, Ryan, because he meant to do it. He moved his body to let the ball go by him.
Yeah, well, that's something I didn't get. That's never been in his nature. What he could have done is either head the ball or stay with his man. But he didn't even look at his man once, did he?
It was strange.
That is awful. That's simple basics.
Tony's just said here, we've probably one player who would get in a Premier League team and several not good enough in the Championship. I'm interested for Tony to tell us which players you think are actually Premier League level. Obviously, Ryan, I would say Jamie Vardy, but he didn't get anything of the ball yesterday. Sumari did okay out of the best of
I thought he was fine.
He was okay. But if you watch their third goal, Sumari doesn't track back with his player at all, Ryan. He lets him go, and that's why he scores.
We've seen that before with him, and that's what was my biggest critic of him. But in fairness, it did look like he was trying. I wasn't completely critical of him, really. But I think Harry Wiggs, when he came on, he steadied the ship a bit second half, I thought. But yeah, it's very, very difficult to find any real positives to come out of it. There was just nothing.
Chowdhury came on and got a little bit more stuck in.
That's another one. Yeah, I agree with that.
I don't understand if Winks was fit, then why he didn't play Winks instead of Skip, because Skip and Sumari is a very sort of defensive. I know Sumari goes a bit forward, but there was no creativity in the middle there either with no Winks and no Buenna.
Yeah, that's the biggest concern I've got midfield, and also the fullbacks. The fullbacks are nowhere near the level either. The amount of spaces we are giving the opposition in the wide areas has been happening all season long, and that's my alarming concern. We don't have a Premier League type of quality fullback, with the exception of Ricardo, but he's just not at the level either, I don't think, with the amount of injuries he gets. It's just frustrating.
It wasn't good. Ryan, thanks for clicking on. Before I let you go, it's hard to ask, but what's your score prediction for the trip to Liverpool on Boxing Day? What do you think it could be?
I think it's going to take a massive Christmas miracle to get anything. I just can't see it other than being an absolute thrashing. I really can't.
I think you speak for everybody, Ryan. So I'm not going to push you for an actual score prediction because it could go anywhere.
Can I just say one more thing about Danny Ward? I think it was completely unfair from the manager, to chuck him under the spotlight, and he was getting absolutely booed by his own fans. And that
do you think he should have been took off at half time?
Well, I'm not too sure on that. I'd probably say probably, because Justin got hooked off second half, didn't he? Because his comments was on the floor. So, yeah.
Listen, Ryan, thanks so much for clicking on. It's been great to get you on. We'll see you again soon.
You're welcome.
Have a great Christmas.
Thank you very much.
Cheers, Ryan. So that was Ryan. We've had Dan on as well, and we've had Matty on. If you want to click on the link, there's still time. I'm just going to post it there because we've got the last 5 minutes. Dorco says we're going to have to go 7-2-1. I hear a lot of fans, Dorco, saying park the bus. I think that's the only plan at Liverpool, is to defend, isn't it? Maybe you try and hit them on the break. I think it's just defend and try to keep it respectable. Tony says don't blame Ward, blame who picked him. Talking about rude. Tony, listen, I think it was a mistake to play Ward, and then I think at half time he had to come off for his own good, let alone anybody's. Patrick says Buenna not playing, going back into Brighton at January. Patrick, I've heard a lot of rumours about that, and that I'm hearing is why he's not been playing. I don't understand why Buenna wouldn't be on the starting lineup against Newcastle, against Wolves. For me, apart from Hermansen, he's been one of our best players. Again, El Canous at times yesterday showed some flashes of okayness, and that's as good as I'm going to say. It was okay at times from El Canous, but he gave the wall away a lot, miscontrolled it a lot. He's a young lad. I'm not laying into El Canous, but to be fair, he is only so good. Richie says play 4-4-2 system. Just talking of systems, Richie, and everybody else who's watching this, people were saying Cooper, I can't see an identity in the Leicester team under Steve Cooper. I don't see any much change under Ruud van Nistelrooy, especially yesterday and Newcastle. Am I not seeing it? I don't know. It looked the same sort of football. It looked worse, didn't it? I don't know. Taito says it's not about blaming anyone. It's about making the correct decisions, both players and management in there. Just defend when we're awful at defending. Good one. Look, Lewis, what would you do? Do you want to go and attack at Anfield? Do you want to set up to attack? Mate, I mean, they say attack is the best form of defense, but Lewis, honestly, I don't know how you would think about setting them up in there. Matt says my Christmas tree looks as limp as a ward save. Any tips for watering it in there? Michael says the owner and the board wants us back in the championship. I can't think that for a minute in there. A1 Hardy saying defend. Dorco says Ruud van Nistelrooy could be the new Gerrard. Again, I hope not. I'm backing Ruud van Nistelrooy. I back Cooper. I didn't want him to go. I don't want Ruud to go. But like I said, when we took Ruud van Nistelrooy on, he's got a big headline name, but he doesn't come with massive amounts of credentials. The guy, by the way, that Wolves just put in charge, Pierre Vito, I think it is, he's won the Portuguese league. I think he's won the Greek league. Yes, I know they're not the A grade. It's not La Liga and it's not the Premier League, but he has been there and he has managed a lot of teams. Scotty says we can't defend. We just need Ruud van Nistelrooy yesterday did control the ball. It went out, Jordan, at one point, and I did think just put your boots on, mate, because you would be even at the age Ruud is, he would offer a bit more bite than what we were seeing on the pitch. And here's another question for you, Ruud. I'd have to check Ruud's actual statistics throughout his full career. He's played for some of the best teams around Europe and played at some of the highest level and won everything pretty much that you can win. Has he ever been involved in a relegation battle as a player or as a manager? You have, I have. We know what it's like. And yesterday wasn't what a relegation battle needs to look like, was it? It certainly wasn't for me. Whether you're talking about the fans, whether you, I'd point my finger at myself because I left on 70 minutes. I just had enough. I just didn't expect anything to happen. And as far as I know, nothing did happen because I watched the match of the day highlights from the 70th minute. And all that happened was Wolves should have scored again, an open goal. And then they had another one. So I didn't miss anything. And I feel awful that I wasn't backing the lads for the last 20 minutes, but they didn't give me anything to back. And at times, I just think I've never done it before. You can call me out, whatever. You can call me a plastic fan. I don't care. But that was it. Enough was enough yesterday. And that was it. Michael says, Andrew Neville is a master at going under the radar. Ivan says, just no quality in the squad. The manager can only work with the tools given to him. The blame lays at boardroom level. Ivan, I was saying that about Cooper. The squad is bottom 6 at best. Maybe it's not even bottom 6. Maybe it's bottom 4. Maybe it's bottom 3. What I saw yesterday, we were playing the team in the bottom 3 and they beat us 3-0, Ivan. Listen, you can't put it all on that, but we played Everton and we didn't beat them. We played Ipswich, we didn't beat them. We played Wolves, we didn't beat them. It's not good. This team wouldn't get us out of the championship. We'll be down there for a good few years. Well, it depends on the wages they've given them and the contracts they've given them, isn't it? Ruud could also be the new Rooney, says Dorco. Dorco's going to go through them all now. He's going to say he could be the new Steven Gerrard. He could be the new Wayne Rooney. He could be the new Frank Lampard. Come on, Dorco. Where's Frank Lampard? Who else are you going to chuck in there? I agree. Has he got the credentials for this? As Wayne says, it is a dogfight. And I genuinely, I'm asking you this live on camera. Has Ruud van Nistelrooy ever as a player or manager or a coach been involved in what I class as a full-on relegation fight, because that's what we're in there. Ian says the worst I've seen since Holloway. You talking about me, or you talking about Uncle Ian Holloway? Bless him. You know, I actually felt the year we went down, Ian, to League One, we were. I actually felt we tried that year. We were just rubbish. I didn't see trying yesterday. That's what I'm on. Jordan says, I left at half time. I couldn't possibly take any more. It was torture. You weren't the only one, Jordan. You were literally not the only one. Scott says, do you think we'll be close to 17th place with 5 games left? I hope so, Scott. I hope we are there or thereabouts with 5. I've said all along, Scott, that my prediction is we will get to the last 10 minutes of the last game of the season and hopefully still be in it. I think it's going to go down to that, and I think it's going to be as close as that. Phil Upton, good evening, Phil. Hope you're well, says, I was fortunate visiting relatives, totally missed all the inevitable feel for the fans going scouse in town. Ivan says, this reminds me of the team relegated in the 03-04 season under Adams and Bassett with a squad of misfits, I think is what he means to say in there. It's all between us and Wolves now as the third team to go down. It looks like they have more than us, says Taito. They certainly did yesterday. But not a lot. They were rubbish. So, you know, they've got some tough games coming up, but so have we. We've got, what have we got? Liverpool, Man City, Villa. The Wolves was the game we were meant to win. Liam says the players need to show some fight. I don't mind losing if we'd actually shown some effort and fight. Liam, that's why I left yesterday, because I didn't see the fight on the pitch. I've got to be honest. I will support a team who is trying their best and leaving it out there. I don't mind if they're rubbish. I've watched Leicester City enough times be woeful. I've watched us in the Championship when we were going. This is not League One, because we were great in League One. I'm talking about the Championship, like somebody's just said there, the 2005 and 6 and 7 and 8. And when we finally got relegated in 2009, it was almost like, thank God it's actually happened, because we were bottom 8 of the Championship for 5, 6, 7 years. And I never left a game then. And yesterday I did, because I was just watching multi-million-pound players not leave it out there. It was tough watch. Merry Christmas. Yes, Michael. Let's end it there. Merry Christmas. Listen, it is Christmas. Maybe Santa's going to come and bring us a present on Boxing Day. I've seen this. I think we've won there on Boxing Day before. You never know what's in there. Wayne says, get the bunch of kids on there. Try harder in there. And he also says it's worrying times. Jordan says, can't see us getting another win this season, personally, unless something dramatic happens. And Richie can have the last word of the night, which is keep the faith. Keep them. I genuinely lost the faith yesterday, Richie. Never happened before. I lost the faith. I missed nothing. I didn't boo them. I left. I just went, as did a lot of fans. I'm not going to do that again. I'm going to stay till the end at the next games. Yesterday was, I don't know, we were done. We were literally done. Anyway, thanks for Dan coming on from Redmen TV. Don't forget you can go and follow them on Redmen TV on all social media. It's a massive Liverpool channel. We've had Matty Bond come on. We've had Ryan come on. I've had all your views and all your comments. So I guess the final thing to say is Happy Christmas. I wish it was a little bit happier, but listen, I'm just going to check just before I go. We are not in the bottom 3 at Christmas. We are 17th. So let's try and build on that. It's probably not going to be pretty at Anfield. Man City, who knows? On Sunday, who knows? It's Leicester. Anything could happen. So watch this space. Have a great Christmas all. Don't forget, we'll be going live before the match on Boxing Day. There's also a special aftermath show on I lose track of day. What's the day after Boxing Day, which must be Friday morning at 10 o'clock with Jamie from the Fox's Arms. So join him on the day after Boxing Day at 10 a.m. And for everybody, thanks to everybody who works on Leicester Fan TV. Can't do it without all the content creators. So thanks to everybody who does bits for us. Really appreciate it. But most of all, thanks for you guys. So thanks for everybody who puts a comment in. Don't forget, you can give us a like, you can give us a share, and you can subscribe to Leicester Fan TV on YouTube or wherever you are. Keep getting your views in. Who knows what will happen? But for me, it's off to drink a glass of something and drown my sorrows and get ready for Christmas. So we'll see you very, very soon. Cheers all.
The Leicester City machine is on the march again.
Leicester Fan TV presents a variety of content like fan discussions, match analysis, and engaging with Leicester fans worldwide. We want your views live, thanks to our sponsors, Everard's, Pucker Pies, Hologram, Take Me, Newbie & Co, and the Fox's Arms.
Want to watch more content like this? Hit the like button. Give us your views. Hit subscribe to Leicester Fan TV and make sure to follow Leicester Fan TV on all socials.